Okay, here we go. Another stupid sketch where I have to wear a Star Wars helmet. What can I even do that's funny? Maybe Kylo Ren brushes his teeth? No, it's just nonsense, isn't it? And then I have to wear this thing in public. Bet there's people watching me right now. Oh my god, is that a wasp? No, 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 no. I mean, that's just sad. I wanted a Darth Vader helmet, but a Darth Vader helmet is 100 pounds, and a Kylo Ren helmet is 30 pounds on Amazon. Wait a minute. What if that's the joke? What if this is like a meta joke about making a sketch? Like Deadpool. Or Deadpool 2.
Wait. How do I end it? It feels so good to be right. Last year we took a look at the Rune Wars miniature wargame, Fantasy Flight Games' big leap into the vast ocean of large-scale miniature wargaming. Except it wasn't really that much of a big leap and more of a dipping your toes in a hasty retreat before the crabs nip at your heels. Yes, much like a hamster's wheel, theoretically Rune Wars, or maybe I should call it Rune Was, is still going, but much of the problems we've foreseen in our review, the uninspired setting, the clunky nature of those plastic trays, the focus of smashing armies into each other until one of them dies, have been the nail in the coffin of that particular cardboard rodent. Yes, a doomed idea. Because, hey, hamsters do have a shelf life of about 2 to 3 years. But Rune Wars was also many other things, many firsts, many innovative concepts in miniature wargaming of this scale. And if only there was some sort of less corporeal form that Fantasy Flight could impart those ideas into, something timeless, something that resonated with a large fan base, something eternal, something that would make a billion wallets cry out in terror. That was bad. I shouldn't do that. I'm sorry. I won't do it again, I promise. And thus, in the early months of 2018, Star Wars Legion leapt onto a table like a hulking plastic behemoth, full to the brim with your favorite Star Wars characters like Storm Vaders, the Rebel Fets, and the fan favorite Millennium Bug. And never has it been clearer that to give this game justice, I had to rein in my excitement. Being a board game review channel, we're used to the products we review being the products we review, the complete package, the whole 12 parsecs. Miniature games are a little bit different. Not only is this core set a woefully truncated experience, requiring many additional expansion purchases to make it feel like the game that it's meant to actually feel like, but also it's a constantly expanding game with miniature packs popping up like stormtroopers after a heavy rain. That didn't make any sense. That only made sense if you're Lithuanian, because we have the saying that like mushrooms popping up after a heavy rain, so stormtroopers, they look a bit like mushrooms, I guess. But miniature games uniquely aren't just about playing the game. They are perhaps even in equal parts about collecting, about assembling your miniatures, painting them, displaying them, creating terrain, giving your army a theme, and therefore a sense of cohesion. But most importantly, through this act of care, imbuing them with a sense of ownership, and this is going to sound soppy, imbuing them with a sense of identity, and therefore a semblance of life. I knew that the right thing to do wasn't to just open all the boxes Asmodee sent me, learn the rules, play some games, and decide on a verdict. That sentence grossly misrepresents our reviewing practices, but it'll do for now. I had to submerge myself into this game. I had to take it slow. I had to paint the minis and get the terrain and get a board to play on. And after spending countless hours and hundreds of pounds, I am happy to tell you that I have failed. I mean, it starts well. Just look at Vader. Using Zoroastria's painting tutorials, even a buffoon like me managed to make him look fearsome and give these rebel fleet troopers, the first living things you see in the first Star Wars movie, the aesthetic justice they deserve. I think I even did a reasonable job on the scores and scores of stormtroopers I had to paint. And whilst I'm not in love with my speeder bikes, I am genuinely pleased with the color gradients on these scout troopers. And I'm totally okay that the base of this ATST isn't done. And I can also live with the fact that these buildings could have had a less lazy paint job. Or the fact that I so far only painted trousers on all these rebel troopers and painted nothing on these snow troopers. I even bought this giant and old and very dusty can of toys Millennium Falcon, which seems to be perfectly to scale to these figures and even fits them in the cockpit. I even wanted to cut it up in half and make it look like it's sticking out of the desert sands of Tatooine, you know, like a terrain piece. But then I noticed that it has these retractable legs and you can actually make it into like a two-tier piece. Make it stand on the battlefield. How awesome is that? Even though there are no rules for a terrain piece where something can go underneath it and above it and inside of it at the same time. At least that's the reason I told myself I didn't cut it up, and not at all because I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I failed. But then again, maybe I didn't. Maybe I achieved exactly what every miniature wargamer goes through. I saddled myself with a boatload of painting and craft projects, realized there's no way that I can finish it all, which of course made me procrastinate and achieve even less than I was supposed to. And here I am now, trapped somewhere between something I am simultaneously immensely proud of and something that is a shaming failure. A state which I believe every miniature wargamer is constantly in. I would like to tell you that Star Wars Legion is one of the best miniature wargames I have ever played. In some ways, Legion plays out exactly like any miniature wargame. Each player will build an army and give it upgrades based on a predetermined point limitation, place them on opposing ends of a map, and roll dice into each other until 6 rounds are over or everybody on the opposing side is dead. No, don't cry. This isn't a sad thing. They're meant to die. The familiarity to genre tropes doesn't end there. Each turn you can do 2 out of a number of different actions, and whilst you can certainly make some more esoteric choices like ducking for cover and getting a dodge token, or taking better care to hit your target and claiming an aim token, most of the time you will move your armies and then you will pew pew. That's the budget for this video gone. Each pew pewer will have a weapon. That weapon will tell you what dice you're rolling for it. Get all the dice together, roll them, see how many pews become hits or critical hits. The defender will then roll a defense die for each hit, and everyone that doesn't produce a shield means that they should probably call the ambulance, but might as well not bother because honestly it's too late. Okay, nothing too exciting to ring your mum about yet, but here's something that might make you pick up that phone. Star Wars Legion has multiple potential weapons equipped to each unit, whether it's this unit of stormtroopers with Bert McRocket Launcher, who's seen far too much but also has a rocket launcher, or this friendly neighborhood ATST. And believe you me when I say this, the phrase armed to the teeth does not do it justice. So here's the thing, you can combine different weapons into the same attack, applying all of their abilities together. Let's translate that into English. Say your ATST wants to attack some fleet troopers. Those fleet troopers are hiding behind a very badly painted barricade. And even despite its bad paint job, that barricade is providing every trooper here with heavy cover, which means that even on a pretty good attack roll, 2 hits will be removed even before any defense dice are rolled, putting a big deficit on potential casualties. That's okay, I have some options. I could fire my grenade launcher. It doesn't add that many dice, but it does ignore cover. Or I could try and just barrel through with my turret, which adds an avalanche of octahedrons, hoping that I cause enough havoc anyway. Or I could, and this is clearly the best option, combine all of them together, and then I'm rolling a whopping 8 dice, and all of them ignore cover. There's only 7 dice in this illustration, but that's just because Fantasy Flight Games doesn't give you enough dice. Which makes thematic sense. Of course, if I blast my grenade launcher and then spray hell afterwards, then there'll be a big hole in that barricade and it won't matter anymore. But the most astute viewers will observe, well, where is the fun? In that, there is only one obvious choice. Or is there? See, the really clever thing about Legion is that one unit with multiple weapons can fire them at different enemies with the same attack. Let's use the previous example but reduce the number of fleet troopers hiding behind the barricade and add a whole extra unit of rebel troopers with a machine gun right in front of this buffoon. I could, of course, split up my weapons and hope that the 2 dice from the grenade launcher are enough to deal with the egg helmets and the 6 dice from the turret are enough to deal with the rugby helmets. But what if it's not? What if I'm just taking too big of a risk and leaving both of these units alive and then they're going to fire back at me? So should I then concentrate instead? And if so, on which one of these units, as so often is the case in war, Star, or otherwise, your choices have no clear outcome and the right decision will only reveal itself after it is very much too late. Have no doubts, however, this war is definitely of the Star variety, and the rules for each unit reinforce that. Everything kind of makes sense. If you get Luke within spitting distance of a Stormtrooper unit, he will stick his lightning stick into every which place where you can stick a stick into, and soon there will be no Stormtroopers left to stick a stick into. That's powerful, yes, but to countermand that, not only is he one of the most expensive figures in the game, but leave him out in the open and he'll turn into a puddle faster than you can say Yoda's swamp on Dagobah. Are the speeder bikes fast? Yes, they're fast. But remember that time when in episode 6 Keanu Reeves jumped onto his speeder bike to chase after Luke, but then he got a message that said if he slows down below the speed of 40 miles per hour, then he'll explode. So he rode the speeder bike through the streets of Los Angeles without slowing down, but then he hit a massive tree and exploded anyway. That's in there. In this game, each time you activate a speeder bike unit, you have to perform a mandatory free move with the longest template. And if you hit anything tall, that's it, you explode. And it's such a nice little touch because I've got this cool figure, the cool pew pew and speedy, but there's an extra thing I have to worry about so it doesn't die. And I don't know why it's so much fun to have an extra thing to worry about in games, but I like it. I think I like worrying. And this is all fine, these are nice touches, but what really got me going in this game is the initiative system. No, wake up. I know there are no 2 words in the world that make you fall fast asleep than initiative system, but trust me, if this game was a pot and we lifted the metaphorical lid, then the initiative system is that big corner where the meat sits and sweats. It's juicy, it's tasty, and it will very likely eventually kill you. In most miniature games, someone will have some form of priority and go first, either activating all their units and then passing the turn, or in smarter systems, alternating one by one with your opponent. Here, you do alternate, but deciding who shot first will be an eternal debate that'll get Star Wars fans going like this. I did it again, didn't I? Ugh. At the beginning of each round, each player will secretly select a command card and simultaneously reveal them. Whoever has less pips on their command card will get to go first. But the less pips you have, the less orders you can issue. And the next bit is a little bit complicated, so bear with me. During a round, you will get to activate all of your units, but control over when you get to activate them depends entirely on how many orders you can issue. Each unit that didn't have orders issued will have their activation token shuffled into a stack, whereas any that did, you just take the token and put it down wherever is convenient, really. When your turn comes along and you want to activate a unit, you either activate a unit that has an order issued to it, or draw a token randomly from the stack. This is great. You might have Vader positioned in a key location, like a dad who barges into his son's party and punches the DJ and says, party's over, go home. And you can have him go first and do that, but then the rest of your troops are an uncoordinated mess. Whereas on the opposite side, you can coordinate your troops, but then Vader might just get blasted to bits. And miniature games are so often about who goes first, and Legion plays with it confidently, giving you a great amount of choices, but also this palpable sense of tension. It's equal amounts opportunity and unpredictability, and honestly, I love it. Let's not forget that this is a Fantasy Flight Games game, and it's produced by a publisher who is known to love putting player comfort first. Every set comes with cards that list all the point costs, relevant rules information for each unit, and even each keyword is explained in detail. And let me tell you about movement. Unlike other miniature war games, you don't have to measure the distance for every single figure you move. You just measure it from the unit leader, and the rest just kind of bimble along together with you. It's so nice and convenient and not fiddly. And as soon as the game starts, because everything is so focused at just shooting at each other from a distance, you immediately feel like you're in a do or die firefight. If I had one big criticism to the system, it's mission objectives. Each time you set up to play, you'll get objectives, either trying to intercept transmissions or hold key positions. Play smart and you'll score victory points, which win you the game, but in our games, they didn't really matter because one player got eliminated. In that scenario, victory points become moot, which is all miniature war games, to be honest, but I would have loved for missions to have mattered more. Although do note that that's just our experience and your mileage may vary. But despite my clear infatuation with this game, for perhaps some very obvious reasons, I can't recommend that everyone should go out and buy this game right now. First of all, make sure that you have someone who's as invested into the idea of playing this game as you are before you fork out what is pretty much half a minimum wage month's salary on all the battle boards and terrain and brushes and paints and lots of plastic, because you'll be stuck with it on your own, and maybe you just want to paint them and that's fine. But there's another thing. If you have tried miniature war games in the past and they haven't quite done it for you, as much as I love this, it doesn't stray too far from the genre tropes for you to really bother. But if you are intrigued, here's another thing to consider. And this is where all the waiting really paid off. Like I said, miniature war games are just as much about playing the game as they are about that sense of ownership and pride. Assembling a cool mini, taking time and care to paint it and make it not just look great, or at least reasonable if you're like me and the best you can do is make your troops look like an almond sausage, is awesome if there are cool minis to paint. Legion started out very strong with ATSTs the size of your arm and those things with the tow cables that took down the space camels. But as the game continues, the releases seem to be less brave. So far, we've got more troops, more specialized troops, not Leia Organa, and some crates and things that either make moisture or take it away, I'm not quite sure. Future announcements also don't fill me with excitement. You'll get some Wookiees, you'll get your grandpa in a hood, and I'm sorry Clone Wars fans, but I feel like printing Clone Wars figures is just a pretense to print prequel figures. And if you like droidicas, that's your thing, that's fine, but I would much rather see more creative approaches. You know that picture of the Stormtrooper riding a dewback? Give us that, give us dewbacks, give us banthas, give us a TIE fighter. Who cares if it's not perfectly to scale? And still, if I were to choose any miniature wargame right now, I would without doubt or hesitation choose Star Wars Legion over all of them. And maybe that's because I'm still a child at heart and for some reason like Star Wars. Or maybe because it's actually a really good game and I've really enjoyed myself. And that's cool, that's powerful. But maybe you don't want to invest a lot of money into it because this isn't just a game, this is a hobby onto itself, aside from all the other games that you might be playing. So if you're wary, just watch the future releases and see if there's figures that actually capture your imagination and grab your attention. And if they do, then may the force be with you. Did you enjoy that? That was good, wasn't it? I liked it, and if you're sad that it's over, don't worry, just before the end of this video there will be some links on the side, and then you can click them and they'll take you to more of the videos that we make. Isn't technology amazing? You know what's also amazing? If you like this and want more people to see it, click some buttons on YouTube, and then YouTube will know that you enjoyed it, and then that way more people will get to watch it. But if you haven't had enough of us, and especially want to meet us in real life, guess what? We're going to a board game convention called Sharks. It's organized by these people. Shut up and sit down. We'll be there. We'll be doing some cool things there. But one of the cool things we'll be doing, if you watched our musical panel show from UK Games Expo, and if you haven't, oh my god, you need to watch it. Anyway, if you have watched it, then you'll be glad to know that we're doing another one. It's going to be at Sharks. It's going to be online later. But if you're at Sharks, you really don't want to miss this one, because it's going to be good. I hear some Team Shut Up and Sit Down members are going to be on the panel, some other guests. So yeah, stick around. And that's it. I haven't got an ending again. This is so annoying. Have you got an ending? No?